Hi, everybody. Welcome to Power Lunch. I'm your host, Matt Zimmer. Today we're going to be talking about Slack and how to use Slack and what Slack's for, and also making grilled veggie sandwiches for lunch. So Power Lunch is a show where I'm going to make and eat lunch and talk about stuff that might be interesting to you. And my cat's going to scream at us, and my wife may come and ask me questions or ask what the heck I'm doing, but right, Lisa? That's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be awesome. So what am I doing right now? I'm gonna put the camera here so everybody can see what I'm doing, because man, it is really interesting. Uh-oh. Technical difficulty. All right, so we're just gonna be cutting some veggies right now. And what do I got here? I got some cucumber, I got some avocado, we got some cheese, we got some lettuce, we got some onion, we got bread, we got bagels. So we're going to start getting going on a grilled veggie sandwich. So let's talk about Slack and maybe what Slack's for, how to use it, how to think about it. And I can get corrected as we go along. So, I'm sure a lot of people have kind of been thrust into using a lot of new tools that they may be uncomfortable with, or not totally know how to use, or not really understand the function of, and may just see them as a kind of an annoyance or an addition to the normal stuff that they're using. And kind of ask, well, why are we using this stuff? Email already works, good enough, type situation. And I think that actually that's not a terrible opinion. But these new tool sets do provide additional functionality and allow you to do and work in a different way. So I thought it would be important to kind of talk about that and maybe just discuss a little bit about how Slack can change the way you do some things. So the first thing to take a look at, or maybe how to really look, or how I look at Slack, I'm sure there's a billion ways of doing this, is really that, one, it's a messaging platform, which is probably exceedingly obvious, but when you kind of first get into it, it's pretty overwhelming. There's, it's kind of a mashup of like Twitter along with like forums, kind of like Reddit, or combined with like, some email functionality. And then you've got integrations, which allow other programs to talk to it. And there's bots that make things kind of automatically happen. So it definitely can be confusing to a new user. It's confusing to me, and I'm a new user, on exactly what it's for, how to use it, how to think about it. So I thought maybe we'd give a little 5-minute overview on how I kind of think about Slack as a program or platform. And really, I think it's really a group messaging tool that's got direct messaging and stuff like that in it. But really, where the really groundbreaking kind of functionality comes across is really this mass group messaging tool that's really, at the end of it, grouped by topic. And so if you have a message that you want a large number of people to view, and you may not actually be even certain who should be viewing it, you can essentially categorize messages by that topic. All right, so if you look at the Slack app, let me pull it up on my screen so I'm looking at it. If you look at the Slack app on the left-hand side, you'll see that there's these things called channels, and then below that there's direct messages. So channels are these kind of like forums, these ideas, these general high-level kind of groupings of where you're posing a question, trying to get work done, you know, that type of thing. So real quick update on the lunch here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take these onion slices that I just did, throw them in a pan, get them a little brown, and then throw them on the sandwich here. We'll see how that works out. Should have probably had my pan on earlier, but I didn't. So, so that's kind of the general concept of Slack. So there are these group messages categorized in topics, and that's the heart of it. And it's a really lightweight application. It moves really quickly. You know, it's kind of designed around text messaging, so messages tend to be a little bit shorter, that type of thing. When you add on to it, what it actually gives you the ability to do is in a forum, you post a message, all right? Simple as that. There's two tools that it kind of adds on to basic messaging functionality that allow you to really extend that functionality versus a traditional like email style or simple, you know, text messaging type application. And that is the ability to add additional hashtags and at mentions to a message. And what that does is when you're typing a message, let's say I'm in a channel. I'm in a channel called finance, let's say, and I'm gonna type a message related to finance. Well, in general, if I just typed a message, that's kind of an open-ended message for that forum. But if I want to add additional people, specific people that I want to see that, I at mention them. So if I've got Steve, in my forum, and I want Steve to see the specific message that I'm typing, I put at Steve. I add that to the end of my message. Okay, so then that pops into Steve's notification box. Not only does the entire channel see it, but the individual that I mentioned would also get a notification. Then you've got hashtags. And the way hashtag works is just like in Twitter, it basically adds that message to a channel feed. So if I'm in, again, the finance feed, and I want to add in, let's say, marketing. So I want the main message, kind of the main place to put this thing is in finance. I'd write it in finance, and I'd add a hashtag marketing to the end of it, and that message then notifies the marketing people that, hey, you should be looking at this finance message. So it gives you an easy ability to kind of cross cross-link posts, messages to different types of users that may be interested in kind of the content that you're creating. So let's do an example. An example might be, let me share my screen here. I'm going to share the OC Engine channel. If you don't know about it, you can join it. There's a button up at the top of OC Engine that says join. But right now, you can see in this window that I am in the automobility channel. And, well, tell you what, let's go into Let's Discuss. This is a forum where it's just, I created it kind of discussion topics. So I'm going to say I want to create a discussion topic that's going to be called, or I'm going to pose a question that says, U2 is the best band. Okay. So I'm going to post that in Let's Discuss, but I've also got a forum over here on the left called Music. So I do a hashtag music. Okay. And up pops that forum. Boom. So now that forum is also tagged. And now I know Andy Zimmer, who's listed here, is big into music. So I type at Andy Z. And now when I submit that message, it'll post in Let's Discuss, it'll post in Music, and it'll also send a message to Andy Z, letting him know that I posted this message that said U2 is the best band. So I'm not going to post that, but if I hit return, it would post and be done. So that's kind of the basic, framework of kind of how the thing works. It's again, it's taking kind of this really basic messaging functionality, this concept of forums, and adding in some kind of Twitter style functionality. And then there's this last piece that's direct messaging. That's more like text messaging or email than kind of your more normal, or kind of like your more normal messaging services. So that's kind of the basic framework of Slack. Now, that may make people question, okay, well, cool. So it's got some text messaging functionality. It's got some email functionality. It's a little bit like Twitter. It's a little bit like maybe Reddit, if you know what Reddit is. It's a little bit like, anyway, so it's kind of this mashup. Well, why the heck should I use it? I already use email. I already use text message. I'm ready to go. Well, I think what becomes really interesting is when you actually get groups of people that don't necessarily know each other all that well, but are working towards kind of common goals. So a couple of places that can be, you can think about that would be one, really large companies where there's initiatives, there's projects, people are kind of working on them cross group, and it almost operates as like a company intranet where ideas that different people are working on that some people may not know about, you can post them in one place, and somebody that's interested in that channel can find that information very easily. The other place I think it's really useful, and this is maybe more applicable to me, is groups of people that have common goals and initiatives, but don't work together at all. They really don't see each other all that often, and it's really more of a digital forum for assembling and conversing very quickly. So it's taking that kind of networking functionality and really kind of stepping it up to the next level, so that as ideas are generated and germinate, and people will need to network and find other people that are like-minded, so that there's a way to kind of assemble, grow, create, collaborate, network on ideas kind of, that are important to you, and trying to find other people that are interested in those types of things. So one example that we've been working on is on OC Engine. OC Engine at its heart is a network for entrepreneurs, right? So networking is very important. Finding people that have similar types of ideas is important. Finding people with skill sets that you need and kind of hashing out whether or not they can accomplish the task that needs to be done, or whether or not the task needs to be changed. And doing that really rapidly is tough to do. So we started to try to utilize Slack as a way of organizing ideas, very easily inviting people into the conversation, and then using it as a place to share and grow and build connections. That's kind of how we're using it, and the tool, it makes it pretty simple. It's obviously starts at free, so that's good for kind of driving trial from a startup standpoint. It's very easy to get people to sign up. The sign-up process is simple, and it's very easy to organize and grow and build and very quickly iterate. And kind of the last piece that I think is very interesting is it's very easy to automate. So from a marketing tool, if you think about just putting on a live event, the steps that go into a live event, let's even say it's going to be a digital live event. So we'll take out trying to get people to a specific place. It's just going to be online. How this used to be done, or how it's done, and this is going to probably be people telling me that this isn't the right way to think about it, but it's how I think about it. So the normal way is you create your event, you get people so you create your event, cool. And that event usually has a registration. You get somebody's email, and with that email, you're going to send them a link to your event. Cool. Well, now you need to get people to your page to sign up for that event. Okay, so maybe you have an email list of prior signups, and then you also have your social media, your LinkedIn, whatever. So you're going to create that event. You're going to create that event page. You're going to create an email on MailChimp. You're going to send out your email list. You're also going to post your web page on your LinkedIn. You're going to share it with people. You're going to try to get them. You're going to try to push people to your event page, get them to sign up, send them the event link, and have the event. Great. The problem comes in. There's a lot of work involved in that, and part of it can be automated, but I think for me, what I've found is all that work that you end up putting in, somebody attends that event, they leave that event. And really once they leave, that's kind of the end of the value that you're providing. Now they've taken away value. You put on a presentation, they've learned something, cool. But unless they decide to engage again, there's no real value. What Slack kind of does is by constructing these things around concepts or ideas or having these channels, it creates additional value after somebody leaves. So if we have got a forum called Automobility on OC Engine, and I'm going to forget to flip my sandwich. Lisa, this one's yours. That's a joke. Not laughing. That's okay. I haven't cooked yours yet. All right, so we've got a forum called Automobility, and it's a mobility automotive forum. So they host events, require registration, and my kind of pitch there has been, yes, absolutely, the event has value, without a doubt. Like, you come, you learn, you leave, cool. What happens in the space in between events? So Thursday to Thursday, what happens? Nothing. There's no ongoing conversation. There's no ongoing questions. The network isn't built. I came to the meeting, you presented to me, but I didn't have the opportunity to discuss with anybody. I didn't have the opportunity to network. I didn't have the opportunity to get people's email addresses. I didn't get any value other than the information that you pushed to me, which, yeah, there's some amount of value, but that's actually not the value behind an event. The value behind an event is bringing people together and everything else that I get out of it. And you know, what I want from a great event is not only do I want great presenters, I want other great people there that I have a chance occurrence to meet. And especially in the digital world, you know, that becomes really difficult to replicate. And what Slack really does is it fills in that gap, or it can do, and there's other tools, but Slack really makes automating this pretty simple. It really allows people to engage in those times when, you know, in between events, when otherwise it's really difficult. And if you can kind of brand your Slack community, Slack channel, however committed you want to be to this, whether you want to run your own or leverage something other people have built, you know, you can really drive a lot of value. And yes, the event can kind of continue being an important part and the main selling point behind these things, but you know, ultimately, the main kind of ultimately kind of the main where was I going? Ultimately, the main value to what's being provided could be, frankly, the community of connections that you're able to build and surround yourself with. And then the event just becomes, you know, part of that experience. And, you know, if your Slack forum is kind of that engagement point that people come and center to and then expand out from there, you know, that's a ton of value that is provided and been created for people. And I think, you know, especially now with things going digital only, in my belief that is something that's really here to stay and not going away and just going to get more valuable. That doesn't mean that live events go away, but it may mean that live events, the necessity or the value of them changes, meaning the value may go up to handle some of this networking stuff in person, and maybe those become the paid component, and the free component becomes, you know, digital only or something like that. But you still want to have that value being provided to people that are even coming to a free event. They've spent their time, so there is a cost to doing some of these things. So that's kind of the reason why, instead of thinking about the event as the penultimate you know, thing that you're trying to get to when it comes to kind of event marketing, really just thinking about what does the community need, and the community that you build around that event is infinitely more valuable than the event itself. And I think by really leveraging into Slack, giving people a place where they can easily talk about the topics that you're trying to bring up, it's a great tool to do that. I think this was supposed to be an intro to Slack, and I may have gone a little bit far. Maybe this is super intro because it's talking about more conceptually why you may want to look into Slack and really kind of uncover how to use some of the automation features and really how to magnify a voice, and really the thought maybe leaving you with a thought around, you know, if you're going to get people to register and sign up for an event, wouldn't it be better to get them to register and sign up for your community, and really provide value in the form of community rather than just in an event? And each one is equally difficult. It's tough to get people to sign up for an event. It's tough to get people to sign up for a community. And maybe it's tougher, but the value that you can get out of that and that people can get, other people can get out of that should be greater than kind of the cost that goes into it. So I think that's about it. And I think we've got 2 sandwiches close to done, coming in on the finish line. Oh man, that did not work out. Well, that one's burnt, so that one's gonna be mine. And this one, that one's looking a little done, but nobody ever said I was a professional cook, so I'm gonna call it. All right, cool. Well, that was Power Lunch. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I don't know if I did, but we'll try it again. Take care.